So inside I haven't done a lot, and it's been a combination of the obvious modification you can see in front of you pretty much, and some cleanup. First to the most straightforward part, and that's the replacement of the, to me, infamous Porsche communication module. This is a base Carrera, and the unit that came in this car basically had an AM radio and an FM radio and a CD-ROM slot to play music on, and that was it. I do think that one of the prior owners put in an extra set of speakers in the doors. The sound quality is very good, but as you know, if you own a 997, there are a couple of real deficiencies with the unit. First and foremost is the telephone capability. I didn't have any telephone capability at all with the PCM that came in my car, but even if you have that option, as you know, you have to put a SIM card in the unit. Crazy in today's world. So that was a big driver for me replacing the unit. As much as I hate to take this car away from stock, I really wanted the ability to take telephone calls in a way that didn't allow me to drive hands-free. Among other things, in California, it's illegal not to have a hands-free unit. So if you just pick up the phone, you've broken the law. Secondly, it's dangerous. So this is a Kenwood unit. There are several anyway, good quality audio units on the market. They all have the same form factor, pretty much. And you can buy online this trim kit to fit into a 997 or a 996, I suspect. The color is a pretty close match, and the texture is a pretty close match. So I really don't notice that it's an aftermarket trim kit. The unit itself is touchscreen. It has the typical streaming capability, so you can stream Pandora or Spotify or anything else you want from a music standpoint. You can even, if you want to, set up Google Map directions on your phone and put it aside in the car and stream the voice commands that'll come through the speakers. You can also buy these for another extra $400 with a nav system built in. That was not something I really needed, so I skipped it. I was really looking for the phone capability, and it's straightforward. You mate the phone to the unit, the phone book downloads, and you're good to go. It's all touchscreen, so there are no controls on the steering wheel, of course. So you have to hit the touchscreen, and the touchscreen isn't of the quality of the current in-dash units like in our Jaguar F-Pace, but it works. It's okay. You can scroll through the phone book and dial up, and there are kind of a few quick dial numbers you can put on, so it works fine. The fact of the matter is, that's pretty much all I use it for. I don't listen to music with the top down anymore. I'd rather listen to the sound of the car. I did have a Sirius FM antenna put in and subscribed to 1 year subscription for it, and it worked fine. I let it expire because I just stopped listening to the radio. I also have an input jack, which is in the glove box for an iPod, which used to be the way to listen to music, of course. Now I don't know if anybody does anymore. I have a bunch of tunes on that, but I never use it, but it's in the glove compartment if I need it. So that was one thing that I wanted to have this for. And the other thing was, I'm going to turn it on now. There's a glare, but you'll be able to see what it looks like when it lights up somewhat. The other thing I wanted was a backup camera, and this didn't come with a backup camera, but it's a very easy mod just to put a little camera out by the license plate, stringing into the back. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. If not, I'll put it up in a screenshot. You just put the car in gear and you've got a backup camera. That is the other really important feature that I wanted. I can drive this car when I'm concentrating as well as I ever used to drive a car, I think, but backing up in parking lots and everything, not so much. So that was a nice upgrade to the car. That's about the only thing I've had done by someone on the outside. I just didn't want to tangle with the hooking the thing up. Oh, one other feature, as you may be able to see here, you can put a background to the unit. You can obviously put in your girlfriend or your wife or both if you want to. So that was, as I said, that was probably the biggest mod I've done to the car from a interior standpoint or from an exterior standpoint that wasn't performance oriented. I think the most important thing I did in this car, internally anyway, has to do with the HVAC module. Some of you may have, with these switches, the paint may have worn off. That's very common. These are rubberized switches, or the control that fits into the switch, which is inside the unit. And I think the oil of your fingers plus the use and the way the fingers touch these two switches tends to wear the paint off. And when I got the car, it was worn through, and you could see the plasticky stuff underneath, which I think was white. It looked pretty bad. I really couldn't stand it. I found a guy online who was selling stickers to put on here, look-alike stickers, black with the lettering and the icon there for the fan. I think he's in Spain, so I bought them. They weren't very expensive. They finally got here. I put them on. They were terrible. They looked nothing like the original. What's more, I've been driving the car for about 25 minutes fooling around with it, and they came off in my hand. So plan B was to ask my wife to take an indelible black felt tip pen and clean them up. And that was better than the stickers, but you really couldn't get around the lettering or the icon, so it was better, but it was still bad. Well, by and by, the fellow that sold the stickers remanufactured these parts of a slightly different material and put them up on his website. So I bought them and installed them myself in this unit. Now this unit comes in one piece from Porsche, as you may know if you've looked at it, and so you can't just buy the switch covers. The instructions that came with the kit from Spain had sort of mediocre instructions on how to take this thing apart and put in the switches. Getting the unit out is not that big a deal. There's some screws down in here you need to pull, and then to pull these sides out, and then you've got a rack that all of these components slot into, and you can slide this out. I have to say, getting it apart and putting these units in was, as the English say, a little fiddly. But I got it, and it works, and they're not quite as smooth as the originals, but they work fine, and I've had them for a couple of years, and there's no sign of wear. So that was a big plus for the car on the inside. Now I think the interior is in pretty good shape. The leather was always very good. I've used various kinds of cleaners on them to make it better. The only other thing I've done, I'll show you here, is once again, I think a common problem. These sills tend to get scratched and discolored, and there are still some deep scratches in this one. I found on the website a video on how to repaint them, and it's pretty amazing. They're just a couple of screws that come out on the side. You can pop this up, and an Ace Hardware lacquer spray paint can of flat black. It is an exact match to the original colors. So you just I'll put a shot of the can up on this video. You just take this thing off, throw it on a couple of newspapers in your yard, and a couple of sprays, and they look really good. And if you mark them up further, you pull them off and you do it again. The sill on the outside was a different issue. I just couldn't see how I could paint it. There was an inlay, so I took it off and got these really nice stainless steel sill covers. The only problem with that was the instructions said just take a fishing line and slide it behind and underneath the existing ones and just run the line down here and it'll slide right off. 10-minute job, right? Well, it was about 4 hours with a putty knife and a razor knife and everything else, chipping and breaking the old one off and trying to scrape. I used all kinds of paint remover and everything else to get that cement, which was hardened like concrete, off. But eventually I did, and I put these on, and I think that's finished it up pretty nicely, and I think done with the interior on this car. Just maintaining it from here, and I'm going to keep this car forever, and I think it'll look good with care forever.